Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the world of British currency to take a closer look at a classic coin, the UK 1 penny from 1979. How does this coin stack up in terms of its circulated value today? Let's find out. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's always fun to learn more about the coins that have shaped history. The 1 penny coin from 1979 is no exception. It's one of the many coins that made its way into millions of pockets, and today, it holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. So let's jump right in and see what makes this little piece of history so interesting. First, let's take a quick trip back in time to the 1970s. The 1 penny coin we're talking about was minted during a significant period in British history. 1979 saw the UK going through major political and economic changes, with Margaret Thatcher becoming Prime Minister that year. Now, at the time, the 1 penny coin was a crucial part of everyday transactions. The design, which we'll get to in a bit, was already familiar to the British public. But why 1979? Well, this coin was part of a much larger series, and 1979 marked the continued use of the second British penny design, which had been introduced back in 1971 when Britain transitioned to the decimal system. Let's focus on the design of this iconic coin. The 1979 1 penny features a well-known design by artist Arnold Machin. On the obverse side, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Machin, which had been in use on British coins since 1968. The Queen is depicted facing right, with her hair styled in a modern, more youthful way, symbolizing the time period. As for the reverse side, we see the classic design of a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbols representing the four nations of the UK. This was part of the British series of decimal coins, introduced in 1971 to reflect the diversity of the United Kingdom. The floral arrangement was simple yet meaningful, bringing together England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Alright, now that we know a bit about the history and design of the 1979 1 penny, let's get to the good stuff, its value today. If you've got a 1979 penny in your coin collection, how much could it be worth? Well, in terms of its face value, the 1 penny coin is worth, you guessed it, 1 penny, or 0.01 pounds. But, of course, the story doesn't end there. Since this coin was minted in large quantities, around 1.5 billion 1 penny coins were produced that year, which means most 1979 1 pennies you'll find today are not rare. They're easy to come by in circulated condition. If you're just holding on to one that's been in circulation for years, it's likely not going to fetch more than a couple of pence, maybe 1 or 2 pence depending on its condition. Now, if you happen to find one that's in uncirculated or mint condition, its value could be slightly higher. An uncirculated 1979 1 penny might fetch around 20 to 30 pence, or even more depending on the demand. Collectors generally look for coins that haven't been damaged by wear and tear, so pristine examples tend to have higher value. So, while it might not be worth a fortune, the 1979 1 penny coin is still a nice addition to any collection. And you never know, if you're lucky enough to find one in excellent condition, it could be worth more than you think. There are also some specialized collectors who look for coins with minting errors or unique characteristics. For example, a 1979 1 penny with an unusual flaw or misstrike could bring in a bit more than the typical value. So always keep an eye out for those little anomalies. To wrap things up, the 1979 1 penny coin, while not extremely rare or valuable in its circulated form, still holds historical significance. It's a reminder of the late 70s in the UK and a key part of the decimal coinage system. Whether you're a coin collector or just someone interested in British history, it's definitely worth keeping one of these coins in your collection. And remember, when it comes to coin collecting, it's not just about the monetary value, it's about appreciating the stories and history that each coin tells. 1987 UK 1 penny coin. We'll take a look at its value in circulation, its history, and why it remains an interesting coin even today. So, let's get into it. Before we jump into its value, let's take a quick look at what makes this coin stand out. The UK 1 penny coin in 1987 was part of a long tradition of British currency. The coin features the familiar design of the crowned portcullis, a symbol that has been a staple of the penny for many years. Designed by Christopher Ironside, it was introduced back in 1968, and it has undergone slight variations over the years. The 1987 1 penny coin has a copper-plated steel composition, which was introduced after the penny coin was redesigned in 1992, but in 1987 it still had the old bronze composition. This is important because the metal affects its weight and how it aged over time. If you look closely, the portcullis is surrounded by the inscription 1 penny. Now, let's take a quick detour and look at the history of the 1 penny coin in the UK. The first 1 penny coin, introduced in 1797, was much larger and made of copper, which is why it's often referred to as the cartwheel penny. Over time, as copper prices increased, the coin was made smaller, and by the mid-19th century, it had shrunk considerably. The 1 penny coin as we know it today started to take shape in 1971 when the UK went decimal, and the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence was replaced with a decimal system. The 1 penny coin became worth 1/100th of a pound. By the 1980s, coins like the 1987 1 penny were made from bronze and had a weight of 3.56 grams and a diameter of 20.32 mm. Alright, now we get to the part that everyone wants to know, the value of the 1987 1 penny coin today. As of the latest data, the 1987 penny has a very modest value in circulation. You can usually find it for around 1 pence, or the equivalent of a few cents in US dollars, because it's still legal tender in the UK. That said, the actual worth of the coin is very low if you're just using it in everyday transactions. However, this doesn't mean it's worthless. If you're a coin collector, things get a bit more interesting. Although it may not be rare in terms of production, certain factors can impact the value. Oh, why would collectors care about the 1987 penny? Well, for one, the design is iconic. As we mentioned earlier, it features the portcullis, which is a symbol of British history and royalty. Coins with historical designs often appeal to people who want a piece of that history in their collection. Although the 1987 penny is not rare in terms of production, collectors often value coins for their age and condition. So, if you happen to have a 1987 penny that is in near mint condition or has any unique characteristics, such as a rare minting error, you might be able to sell it for more than its face value. Some collectors will pay a little more for coins that have been well preserved, as these coins are harder to come by than their worn counterparts. And while you may not make a fortune, it's still an interesting and affordable coin to add to your collection. If you're interested in determining how much your 1987 penny might be worth, you can always check with online marketplaces or auction sites. These platforms can give you a rough idea of what similar coins are selling for. Some specialized coin dealers also offer appraisals for free or for a small fee, and they can help you determine the value of any potential rare finds. Condition plays a huge role in a coin's value. A penny that has been well circulated with visible wear will fetch much less than a coin that's almost uncirculated or has no signs of handling. Even though the 1987 penny is not one of the rarest or most valuable coins out there, it remains a classic piece of the UK's coinage history. Many collectors enjoy rounding out their sets with coins like this one, and if you're just starting your coin collection, it's an affordable way to get into the hobby. And let's not forget that the 1 penny coin itself is being phased out of everyday use. With inflation and rising production costs, it's likely that the 1 penny coin will be withdrawn from circulation soon. That could make it even more interesting for future collectors. The history of the penny can be traced back to ancient Britain and the time of the Romans. The penny as a coin began with the Romans, who introduced the denarius as a unit of currency in Britain around 43 AD when they conquered the region. However, the 1 penny coin in its more recognizable modern form didn't appear until much later. In 785 AD, King Offa of Mercia, one of the most powerful Anglo-Saxon kings, minted silver pennies as part of a larger currency reform. These early coins were made of silver and were much larger in size compared to today's pennies. The penny continued as the primary coin for England throughout the medieval period. Under the Norman conquest in 1066, the penny remained the main unit of currency in England, although its design and minting process were standardized by King William the Conqueror. This marked the beginning of the English penny as we know it in terms of its place in Britain's monetary system. During this time, pennies were made from silver, and the design featured images of the reigning monarch along with inscriptions in Latin. Over the centuries, the design would evolve to reflect the changes in monarchy. Fast forward to the 17th century, and the penny was still made from silver, though it was often in limited circulation due to the large value of silver. The Royal Mint was established in 1279, solidifying its role in producing coins, including the penny, in standardized formats. However, by the 18th century, silver was becoming more expensive, and the penny was replaced by copper coins. This shift to copper continued into the Victorian era. The penny, during the Victorian period, was copper-based and the size was reduced slightly over time. The design was also updated, and coins began to feature the effigy of Queen Victoria on the obverse, front side, with a range of designs for the reverse side, including Britannia, the symbolic figure of Britain. In 1860, a bronze penny was introduced as a solution to the increasing cost of copper. The bronze penny became a staple of British currency throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. A significant turning point for the UK penny came in 1971, when the UK moved from the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimalised system. Prior to this, the UK had used a system where £1 was divided into 20 shillings, and each shilling was made up of 12 pennies, meaning there were 240 pennies to the pound. After decimalisation, the pound was divided into 100 pennies. The new 1 penny was worth 1/100th of a pound and underwent a redesign. The coin size was also reduced slightly, and its metal composition was altered over the years. Initially, the coin was made from bronze, but by the early 2000s, the 1 penny coin was made from copper-plated steel due to rising copper prices. In 1987, the UK 1 penny coin continued to feature the portcullis design on the reverse, the back of the coin, designed by Christopher Ironside. This design symbolized the House of Commons, part of the UK Parliament. The portcullis is a historical architectural feature, commonly associated with fortresses and castles, but also became a symbol of British governance. This coin had a bronze composition, and its size and weight were consistent with other pennies produced around the same time. It would remain in circulation throughout the 1980s, and 1990s and 1992. The Royal Mint decided to change the composition of the UK 1 penny coin to copper-plated steel to reduce costs. The size of the coin also shrank slightly to make it more cost-effective to produce. The new 1 penny coins continued to use the portcullis design until 2008, when the design was updated to reflect a more modern interpretation of Britain's heritage, this time featuring a design by Matthew Dent. As of today, the UK 1 penny coin is still in circulation, though its value has greatly diminished due to inflation. The Royal Mint continues to produce 1 penny coins, but there have been discussions in recent years about the phasing out of the coin due to its low value and high production cost. The 1 penny coin has truly stood the test of time, evolving from its roots in ancient Britain to becoming a symbol of the modern UK currency system. Although it may not carry the weight it once did in everyday transactions, it remains a piece of British history that continues to be cherished by collectors and coin enthusiasts alike. The 1987 UK 1 penny coin is a fascinating snapshot of Britain's rich numismatic history and, for those interested in coins, it remains a classic example of British design and tradition. Whether you're just starting your collection or are a seasoned collector, this penny is a great addition to any set. I hope this gives you a better understanding of the history of the 1 penny coin, especially the 1987 version. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe for more coin history and numismatic insights. 1989. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just starting out, this little copper coin might hold more value than you think. In today's video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about this coin, from its history and design to its circulated value and what makes it stand out in the world of numismatics. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the history of this coin. The 1989 UK 1 penny was part of a series of pennies that were minted starting in 1971, when the UK switched from the old imperial system to the decimal system. This marked the beginning of the modern British coinage we're familiar with today. The 1 penny coin itself is made of copper-plated steel, and it's got a simple yet iconic design. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This version, released in 1989, features a portrait designed by Raphael Maklauf. It's one of the most well-known images of the Queen used on British currency. And on the reverse, we've got the image of a single sprig of oak, which has been a symbol of British strength and unity for centuries. This design was created by Christopher Ironside and was introduced in 1968 as part of the new decimal coinage. The 1989 version of this coin continued this design, with 1 penny written around the edge, along with the date 1989 right at the bottom. Now, let's talk about the circulated value of this coin. When it comes to most 1 penny coins from the 1980s, including the 1989 version, you're generally looking at a value of 1 penny, or 1 penny, in today's market. That's because it was produced in large quantities and is still common to find in your change. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. While this coin doesn't have a significant premium in regular circulation, the value can shift when we talk about collecting, as we'll discuss shortly. The 1989 UK 1 penny coin has been minted in very high numbers. Over 1.5 billion coins were produced that year. So, if you're just looking at the coin's face value, it's not going to get you much more than it's worth in pocket change. However, in certain cases, such as in uncirculated or mint condition, the value can rise. Now, let's talk about collectability. As I mentioned earlier, most 1989 1 penny coins are worth their face value. But what happens when we move away from the standard worn-out versions that get passed around from hand to hand? coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch higher prices among collectors. If you happen to find a 1989 one penny that's in mint condition, free from wear and tear, it could be worth around 30 pence to £1 in today's market. It's not a huge fortune, but it's something. But don't just go off searching for any old coin. Collectors are also particularly interested in coins that have unique characteristics, like misprints, unusual errors, or even limited minting years. The 1989 one penny coin, however, wasn't struck with any major errors, making it a bit less exciting for those looking for rarities. That being said, coins from this era can still hold value to the right collectors, especially when they're well-preserved. Oh, what can affect the value of the 1989 one penny coin, aside from its basic circulated state? Firstly, the overall condition is key. Coins that have been heavily worn through circulation are worth next to nothing. But if you have one that's been kept in a protective case or rarely used, it's worth a bit more. Collectors generally look for coins that are at least in good or extremely fine condition. Other factors, like whether the coin has a special provenance or if it's part of a limited collection, can also play a role in determining its value. While the 1989 penny doesn't have any rare variants that are well known, that doesn't mean it's completely off the radar. You can often find these coins in online auctions, and sometimes they sell for a bit more than you might expect, especially if you've got one in great condition. If you're looking to buy or sell a UK one penny from 1989, there are a few places you can check out. Local coin shops are a great option for selling your coins if they're in good condition. And if you're looking to buy one, you can often find them online at auction sites like eBay or through specialized numismatic dealers. Just be sure to do your research and make sure you're getting the best deal when buying or selling. So, to sum it all up, the UK one penny from 1989 is worth its face value in everyday circulation, but if you've got one in mint condition, it could fetch a little more among collectors. While it might not be the most valuable coin out there, it's certainly a great piece of history, and you never know, you might just stumble upon one that's worth more than you think. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you have any 1989 one penny coins lying around, let me know in the comments if you think they're worth more than just one penny. And don't forget to subscribe for more fun coin videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.